Hello, everyone, and welcome to News for the Lazy, episode 8. Today, we're actually going to do something a bit different. We're going to do a bit of a story this time. This lovely young lady is Melissa, and in this video, you get to walk in her shoes. Now, Melissa is 23. She lives in Ohio, and she has just recently found out that she is 3 weeks pregnant. She is still a student, and she knows that she is not equipped to be a mother. Now, we as the audience have two options. We can make her abort her pregnancy, or we can make her carry through with the pregnancy. Now, if you choose to have her carry through with the pregnancy, what are some things that could go right? Well, one thing is that if she chooses to give her child up for adoption, they have a decent chance as an infant of getting adopted, but keep in mind that that chance decreases drastically every year they age. Melissa might also be able to get through school and find a job that can support her and the child, but it would be harder to do all of this as a single mother. In addition, there are some things that could go wrong. The poverty rate for single mother families in 2022 and 2020 was 23.4%, and Melissa, as a student and now single mother, is much more at risk of dropping out. Also, shocker, pregnancy is dangerous. Melissa could suffer a miscarriage like 1 in 8 women. Melissa might also have an ectopic pregnancy, which can be fatal for her or her fetus. Melissa can also suffer from not just that, but from different complications like 6 through 8% of pregnant women. Now, this was one choice you had. Another choice is that what if you decide to have her abort the pregnancy? Well, it's a difficult decision, but Melissa does continue on with her studies and she moves on without the pregnancy. This is not an easy decision, but this is something that basically allows the rest of her life to not be particularly impacted by this pregnancy, for better or for worse. However, what if you can't decide? I understand if you can't decide. We have a very narrow window into what Melissa's life looks like. We don't know about the familial support she receives. We don't know about her financial situation, and we don't know about her career prospects. There are so many things that we can't see about Melissa, so how can we decide? Well, if you're worried about that, don't worry, because the Supreme Court has just said that Ohio now decides for Melissa. On June 24th, 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, a ruling that gave women the constitutional right to an abortion in the U.S. This overturning has given the states the ability to decide their allowances for abortion, and it is estimated that about half the states will outlaw or severely restrict abortion access. A map of these states and the times and also likelihood that they will ban or restrict abortion is put up on the screen right now. And it definitely shows that about 50% are very likely to ban it. Melissa lives in Ohio, which banned abortion the minute Roe v. Wade was overturned. She now has no choice but to carry through with the pregnancy, no matter what happens. This is something that is deeply disturbing for her. Now, what happens to everyone else? Studies have shown that women denied an abortion were more likely to live in poverty afterward than those who received one. Women who were unable to receive the procedure also fared worse in areas such as education, Melissa is a student, and physical and mental health. 54% of U.S. women seeking abortions will have to travel farther than they would previously to reach their nearest abortion provider. The choice for U.S. women is no longer whether or not they can take a bus to get an abortion, but whether or not they can take a plane to get an abortion. And this specifically puts poor women at a disadvantage. They will not be able to afford the methods of transportation. They might not be able to afford the procedure anymore. And, of course, this will directly relate to increased rates of people trying to end their pregnancies without clinical supervision. And this involves a very dangerous set of at-home pregnancy endings and sort of homemade abortions. It's disturbing to talk about, but this will start happening now, especially in states where abortion is outlawed. Of course, the response to the overturning of Roe versus Wade has been majorly negative. Majority of Americans disapprove of the Roe versus Wade reversal. And in this time, we can't help but think of women who have lost their lives, specifically when it comes to ectopic pregnancies and also pregnancies in which the mother is at risk but is not allowed to abort the baby because doctors either cannot or are unsure of the legal repercussions. Now, and we have just seen it just within this week that Roe versus Wade has been overturned, of many doctors now having their patients, especially with ectopic pregnancies, wait for them to call up lawyers and to discuss it through. And this can take hours, and doctors are not allowed to do anything. Nurses are also not allowed to do anything. And this is absolutely going to result in more and more of these pregnancies rupturing, more and more of different types of fatal pregnancies also ending badly because their doctor is not with them, their doctor is with the lawyer. There are simply, as we saw, for the people who can decide about Melissa's case, too many factors. We don't know about the support available. We don't know about whether or not the mother is able to support a child, but just not willing, or willing but not able. And different people have different opinions on what you should do in both situations. Should you force a mother to carry a pregnancy if she is able to support the child but not willing? There are worries about mothers stopping education. There's worries about how much familial support someone is receiving, and how can someone get around a lack of familial support? There is a difference between someone trying to privately get an abortion without anyone knowing in their home state and someone not being able to even do that because they would now have to fly out of that state to get an abortion. There's this sort of debate between, can she get around it if she works hard enough, or is she not working hard enough? Or what about adoption, ignoring the hundreds of thousands of kids in foster care? Simply put, there are so many factors into whether or not a woman is willing or can carry a pregnancy. And we know for a fact, just like with Melissa's case, that we cannot decide from an outsider perspective. And if we as people cannot decide for every single person, it is extremely difficult for legislation to decide. This is a woman's choice and a woman's choice only. And this new future in an overturned Roe versus Wade is going to result in a lot of things being reconsidered. There are people now looking to employers for transportation options, especially thinking about the previous slide in which we discussed that women are now going to have to be able to fly cross-state to get the abortions that they could have gotten in-state at a certain point. So there are now employers, many of them, such as Disney, Uber, and even Amazon, who are saying that they will now provide stipends or even pay for their employees to get abortions out of state. There's going to be a lot of discussion about where to live, and there's going to be a lot of discussion about what to do. But the important thing is that the US will not take the sitting down, and that we cannot stop fighting for a woman's right to choose.